Hello everyone, welcome for this new episode of Timeout from Tamriel. And first, thank you so much for the discussion you have left in the comment of the last episode. That was something awesome. So much talk, so much comment, so much argument. It was really great to see you participate like that. This week we will be speaking about dungeon because that's the subject you have voted. So, Deltia, Timeout. Let's go.
Okay, so you guys wanted to do our favorite dungeon. I did make a video about my favorite quests, just because, I don't know, there's some really cool quests in this game. There's some really cool content. And dungeons are something that I never liked in previous games, like Star Wars The Republic. It was just, you queued up, wasn't that much fun. I can do these dungeons all day. I ran Spindle Clutch 6 times today, looking for one helm. 6 times.
Wow.
Nice.
It's fun. I don't mind it. I like the rewards. I like the structure of it. I like the boss challenges. So I love dungeons in general. So my favorite one, I do like City of Ash a lot, but I'm gonna throw a wrench in the little plan. What you guys thought probably was my favorite. Dire Frost Keep is my favorite. The Nord in me loves the old cold mountains and the little guy that comes out of the little projector or whatever you want to call it, and telling you the story, and you go and you unlock this thing, you fall down this cliff, and oh my god, and the last boss is amazing. I cannot wait for that to be veteran mode. I really hope they expand on those and make those veteran, because man, I tell you what, I would play that till my eyes bled. I love that dungeon. I don't know what it is. It just feels so Nord, so Skyrim. You feel like you're at home in that dungeon. Being a Skyrim fanboy that I am, so I really like that one. I mean, Blessed Crucible is amazing. Like, it feels like a pumped up Dragonstar Arena. Just the quality and content on these dungeons is just fantastic. I love playing dungeons in this game. And Dire Frost, I don't usually run non-bet ones, but if I see that on the daily, I run it. And I run it on a bunch of different characters because I like playing it.
Yeah.
Say, what about you?
I'm kind of in the same boat as far as not having like dungeons in previous games and liking them here. I mean, I'll spend a whole lot of time just running around like hitting the little single player ones when I'm questing. But if I had to choose one dungeon as my favorite, and now granted I haven't seen all of them yet, but I would have to go with Elden Hollow, and if only for the Bogdan the Night Flame fight at the end. The fight, it kills people over and over again, but there is just something about it that I don't know why, but it is the one fight that I can get into, and even if we're struggling and we're not doing well, I don't get frustrated with it. Something about just having to have everybody's positioning game, just being perfect to stay out of the fire, and watching everybody roll back in on the boss when he jumps and clears the flames. And I don't know. It's an awesome fight. I really like it, and because of that fight alone, I'm gonna have to say Elden Hollow.
What about when you first saw Bogdan? You're like, oh, where am I going here? And all of a sudden, boom! And
yeah.
And the first time he did the stomp and the fire at the same time, I'm like, oh my god! And that used to be the hardest fight in the game.
Yeah.
For
And
a very long time.
this fight, I'm a little sorry about it because I really love it too. And I have played with my usual tank, Superfly guy, and Zix RPG. And we were doing this fight without knowing any tactics. We wanted to discover it by ourselves. And we've spent like 1 or 2 hours trying to figure out how to do and oh yes, we need to kill those white guys. They are hitting the boss, blah, blah, blah. So it was an achievement every time we were discovering another little tactics. And then the boss bugged and we didn't got the gold key.
Oh, after reading the book.
Yeah, that was sad, but it was such a nice memory.
Yeah.
You know what I think I really like about it is it's just, I've been in there and we've cleared it, I don't know, 6-7 times or something. And every time the fight's just a little bit different. And it's amazing every time. I mean, the art team did a really good job with the setting around that fight.
Yeah.
Creating the way he looks. And I tell you what, when my Nightblade got the helmet that looks like Bogdan's head, It's
Oh
just
yeah.
it's awesome. It is awesome. So
Yeah, it's so cool. I love that fight. Now, Loa, what about you?
Well, almost every dungeon are my favorite dungeon, so I decided to choose Black Heart Heaven because that's where everything started. We had this fight during this ESO live. It was awesome. Dalja, me, and two developer, we were
Yeah.
fighting. But I really love in the dungeon, it's the fact that they are outdoor and you have such a nice atmosphere. You have the weather that change, the light that change. So sometimes it's the night, sometimes it's the morning, sometimes it's raining, sometimes it's very sunny, and it gives a completely different atmosphere to the dungeon every time you do it. Also, you have so much adventure feeling. When you do Elden Hollow, you start by jumping into a waterfall. And Black Heart Haven, you have those, this pirate city. It is very well made with all those old boats and those bridge. And then you go in a cave, and you have some inside fights in very beautiful environment. Then it's open again, and you have this those boss entrance. It's always epic when you cross the bridge and there is all those harpy that start to attack
Yeah.
you, and then you have this ugly hag raven that start to fight, and all those birds and bats that are coming out of her mouth or whatever. It's really feel epic. It's really feel that it's an adventure. That's really the feeling that I want to give into this dungeon. It's a feel of adventure, and I love that. And from the three of us, I'm apparently the only one we love dungeon. I love dungeon in every game.
I love dungeons. Not this game.
Yeah, but I love dungeon in other games too.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
really a dungeon crawler. That's my favorite activity in every game I've played
Really?
ever. I'm a healer, so of course I like to heal the tank all the time and running behind. And I really love boss fight. I love generally the atmosphere you have in dungeon. But I must say that in the Elder Scroll, it's exceptionally well made. It's
Yeah.
it's really great. And as the combat is very different, a lot of players that do not like dungeon in general, they enjoy PvE suddenly, while they are more
Yep.
because of the action combat and the boss fight are very well made. It's good mechanics and stuff. So yeah.
So what do we want to see in dungeons? Like, I'll go first, but so dungeons and Dragonstar Arena, I think, is a separate thing because Dragonstar Arena is kind of like a, I don't know, arena, but it is 4-player.
It's very different from a dungeon.
It is, but I like the dungeon setting. There has to be a couple of things. It has to be interesting. It has to have a cool boss, and some mechanics that require movement and combat. What I want to see in dungeons is continue to keep the rewards high, like the 2-piece set bonuses. I'd like them to expand on that, but I also would like them not to have just DPS race, like some mechanic where you can't kill the boss anymore. You know, like you can't just out DPS the boss in 30 seconds and it's dead. Something where like it's like everyone has to survive. Or
Yeah.
I hate puzzles, but I mean I'd be even willing to do a puzzle, something different than just DPS, because you get in there and you have like 3 rockstar DPS. I mean you don't even need a healer. You just 10 seconds it's dead. So something that where like a tank matters so much, like you just have to survive. I would like to see some mechanic like that. Now, what about you, Sig?
You know, I'm gonna go in a direction here that I think might make people, you know, loudly disagree with me and stuff like that. But I would like to
What?
see, yeah, I know, I would like to see some sort of a mashup between, you know, the current dungeon kind of thing is that, you know, it's low numbers, so like 4-player, 6-player group, stuff like that. But I would like to see like a maybe like a 2 to 4 player group size dungeon, but it is drawing inspiration from some of the old massive raids in old games. I'm talking progression, I'm talking raid locks. You know, I don't know, like a big fortress that needs to be infiltrated, and there are certain steps that have to be completed in a certain order to get to the end. You know, but not on the massive scale. I want the epic feeling, just not I don't want to have to pull together 24 people to do it.
Yeah.
So some sort of a progression-based raid system that is
Like
small,
no lockout
you know.
timers, you mean?
Well, yeah, I mean there could be lockouts on it, you know, but and actually there probably should be lockouts on it, and you know, to pull from a game that's got nothing to do with any of this, we've been playing GTA 5 online, and the heist system, basically it's got all these different little missions that you have to do to get to the final and run the heist. And I like that idea. You know, I want to be able to pull together 2 to 4 of my close friends and work at completing objectives in this dungeon, and if we have to stop, I want to be able to come back to it later.
Yeah.
So but yeah, I mean, just some sort of a massive progression based raid would be awesome, but I want to see it with you know, like 2 to 4 players I think would be awesome.
I think 4 is nice because then you can have a tank, you can have a healer and 2 DPS. I think that the group size is very good in this game because it allows a lot of strategy. If you die, you can rest other people and you can play around with that. And you can fail and you can succeed if you're good. It's really interesting. Again, today I did with my friends Fungal Grotto veteran, and we had the second boss where you are killed or sacrificed. Someone is sacrificed and you have the DPS that need to kill very fast one of the cultists to free the person that is going to be sacrificed before it die. And if you have one person that die at that moment, you need to choose, will I let the sacrificed person die and rest the other one or not? And then you need to figure out who is the most important to rest and stuff like that. That's a very good mechanic because even if you fail, you still can work around and then you can succeed or you can completely fail. And that's very nice. And so I think that 4 it's really a good number. But like Sigtrick explained, it would be nice to have a progressing raid for 4-person, or it could be 8 as well, or it could scale up, or it could be 2 different raids, where you have these bosses that you need to work on several weeks and failing and failing, then progressing. I think that a lot of people will enjoy that actually.
Yeah.
If it was one dungeon, so you don't need to have plenty, just one. Where people can really work out, because for now the trial system it's more a race. It's about time, about DPS race, like you explained. I don't really like that. I prefer when you have to really figure out how this boss is working, and they need to keep it secret, you know, the tactic and the strategy, not share it. So you don't Google it, you need to find it out by yourself, or something that changes every time, and so you cannot make a guide, you cannot make a video about it. Yeah, that would be fun, Deltia. That would be fun.
I can't make a guide. We're just like
No,
it.
you cannot make a guide in advance, but you could make a video every week. This week we got this and we did it that way. And that could be, I don't know how they could make it up, but that would be fun. Something where you have different mechanic that change, and it's completely random. So every time it will be a different fight. Okay.
That would be cool. What about the scale? Last thing. What about the scale of dungeons? You like 4? I hate large content. I don't like big, huge trials, 12 people. But other games, you know, they got like 50 people, crazy stuff, 6 or whatever. Like, what's the scale do you like?
You know, I've spent a lot of time raiding in other games that had, you know, huge groups, and it's got its place, and it can be fun, but it is so hard anymore with the pickup group nature of players these days. It is so hard to get that type of stuff scheduled that if they were to ever do anything like that, it would have to have the ability to be scaled down and played with less people. And honestly, where we're at right now, I would like to see most dungeons built in a way that you could scale how many people are required for it. I think, you know, doing some sort of an actual dungeon or a raid with just 2 people would be amazingly fun, because think of all the different things that you would have to take into consideration to get it done. You don't have the Trinity anymore. You don't have one person dedicated to healing and one person DPS and one person tanking. You've got two people, and you've got to share those responsibilities between two people. And I think that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it could be interesting, but I still like to have my role as healer, and I want to keep it. It's my privilege.
Well, absolutely, and I mean there should be content that states that as well. But
yeah, I got it.
As long as it's not just good old DPS race crap. Like, just stop with the DPS race stuff. Like, there should be something else besides who can DPS their freaking face off, because then it becomes like everyone has the exact same DPS build, the same 4 buttons, and they just face roll. Like, it needs to have movement, it needs to have speed, it needs to have timing.
Yeah.
Right? Timing's everything.
But that's a question of mechanic of the bosses themselves. I find the mechanic of the boss here pretty well made, because not every boss will be the same, and you have some boss you cannot DPS race, or you can DPS race but between 2 moments. Like, let's take the example of this fungal grotto phase. You have the DPS race phase, but it's alternate with different phase, so you have different stuff you need to do, and when it's like that, it's fine. You should not be able to skip anything interesting in a boss mechanic by just having too much DPS. So you should always have different phases that force you to go from a DPS race to oh, we need to run everywhere to avoid the lava that's fall from the sky or whatever. You know, something different, and so you can never cheat or skip it, take a shortcut.
Well, through it.
Yeah, and they could do a lot of awesome stuff with boss fights. I mean, to draw on a game that I used to play, they used to have what they called fellowship maneuvers. So basically, when your group was fighting this boss, certain skills could trigger this maneuver, and then everybody in the group would have to hit a specific button. And there was different combinations that you could do, but you would do different things, and it would do like this big group skill on the boss.
Like synergies.
Exactly. So they could have like a group synergy to where, you know, all the different skill lines have specific skills that could, you know, have a chance to activate a group synergy. And then these group synergies are what is needed to bring down the boss.
Yeah, or you can even don't need that. You can need a mechanic inside the game itself. It could be you have 2 person that need to stand on a stone, and they need to, you know, carry their weights during to activate something, a machine or so. I don't know. There's plenty of mechanics I could do. Also, what I would like is to have some boss fight where you have movement involved, like to have more to have still this feeling of adventure where you have to cross bridge or stuff like this to go from one side to another. Well,
yeah. We're getting pretty close on time, aren't we, Aloha?
Yeah, I think we need to go on the proposition for next week.
It's a good one.
Yes. So guys, next week you can choose if you want to swim or if you want to fly. Underwater combat or flying mounts. What do you prefer? That will be the discussion next week. It's in the trend at the moment. That's the discussion that's all going on the forum. Besides PvP lag.
Fired up about both of them.
Oh man.
That will be fun.
Watch out.
See you next time, guys. Take care.
Thank you. Bye bye.